Hey Saints, this is me, Messenger Paula, and it's 11:51 p.m. in Paris, France on Sunday night, and it is, what is it, October 14th, 2018. I was doing the letter line. You know, I do a letter line every night, at least one. I try to do two if I can, but at least one. And tonight was letter line 977. I just posted it on my website. Tonight, my letter line that I did, 977, just happened to be for the year 2018. Hey, check this out. 977, to eat, to choose, mental attitude, meaning I report from one place to another, bring a report, announce, declare, precursor, if, whether. So you are taking in ideas or experiences, because that's what to eat means, and getting information or knowledge, and that's also to eat, in order to choose your mental attitude. So right here, to choose mental attitude, you report and declare this information to those wishing to contend well, for Christ is the judge of the contest and the one who has given each one the crown. And the one who has given each one the crown. This mental attitude information is an important precursor. It decides whether he, meaning Yah, watches over all and encompasses them, meaning surrounds them inside and outside. And this is exactly what my video is about that I just uploaded for Friday. It is literally called How to Control Your Emotions to Get on the Ark. Is that not a perfect confirmation for what I am doing at this very moment? Literally giving ideas, sharing experiences and knowledge, and saying literally that we have to choose our mental attitude. We have to control our emotions. This is like crazy. I mean, I should be used to this by now. This is my life. This has been my life for the past 18 years. I mean, since 1999. So I should be used to it, but it never gets old. It's miraculous. Okay, but the reason why I'm coming on here to tell you guys this now, the reason is because I'm really understanding this message that we are being measured right now. And I know this from Revelation 11:1, which is 1:1:1. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar and them that worship therein. And I don't know, it just all of a sudden I understood that, of course, we are the temple. So that means that we are being measured. And what we've been saying all this time is about we have to live in the holy place and worship in the most holy place. So what that means is that people who don't have the temple, people they don't have the holy place. They're not living in the holy place and worshiping in the most holy place right here. The court that doesn't have the temple, don't measure it. Do you see what I mean? So and that's talking about the Gentiles. It's talking about the people who are not part of the true spiritual Israel. What I'm saying is it's a great thing if you're being measured, because if you're being measured, then that means you are part of true spiritual Israel. You have a temple. You're in the temple. It's wonderful. Great. But we have to know that right now, literally right now, we are being measured. So that means judging our hearts. Okay, so that's what this is saying right here, this 99977 letter line, and what is happening right now in the spiritual world. And I've had this confirmation from Sister Polly and Brother David as well, that we are being measured and our hearts are being tested. So guys, please really take this seriously. Really pray on what we prayed on last Friday, which was willful ignorance. Make sure that you are choosing your mental attitude and you are not being controlled by any other outside influence. Every decision, every thought, every feeling, every whatever it is, make sure that you are choosing that, okay? Shabbat Shalom, Saints, and welcome back to Wakefulness Theology. My name is Messenger Paula, and today we're talking about how to get on the ark. Be ye wise as serpents. And that comes from Matthew 10:16. So this is our last video of the first part of this new series. And so Melchizedek, he gave me I received this message on April 26, 2017. You see, April 26, 2017. So on this day, I got this word when I was waking up from a dream. I had it in the dream, and then I woke up and was writing down the information. And so we just are finishing, by the grace of Yahushua HaMashiach, he has given us this first part, which is healing. So now after this video, we're going to be going into the word, which is the sword. And we're going to be using Sister Poli's 2 visions that she had to take us into the next part of this. So last week we decoded Q, and pretty much we said that Q is the word of God. Yes, we showed that through the Bible verse that says, "Is not my word like a fire, says the Lord, and like a hammer that breaks the rocks?" And we know that this is the word of God because we looked it up. That's what Q means. We went through and we broke down the new stream for these 4 holy letters right here, and we talked about the holy fires burning through the church message, and this is a countdown to Revelation 17. So if you saw the video last week, you remember what this is. So today we're going to talk about her second vision, the 2 blue envelopes and the 1717. So we're going to go through the same process. I'm going to show you all the research we did and then just connect the dots together for you at the end of the video. So the first question is, what is QQ? We know what Q is, that's the word of God, but what is QQ? QQ 1717, that was written on her blue envelope. The first thing I did was look up QQ 1717 in Google, and this is what I came up with. This is an equation for a nuclear power plant system. And the reason it drew my attention, there's 2 reasons. One is because I've had a couple of dreams when I went to Mallorca, Spain. In August, I had a couple of dreams about a nuclear power plant exploding, and it has a lot to do with airplanes. That's another video, but airplanes are very important in whatever events are going to be happening next. I had another dream about the nuclear symbol, and that was a couple of years ago. That was the dream where the economic collapse happens, and it had those nuclear symbols in there. And also Sister Poli had a dream not long ago about the radio. We talked about that in the Maniac movie, that brother David and me and her, we were in the radio studio, and there was the cup that had the orange and black, and I was saying that orange and black is like the colors for the nuclear symbol. So when I saw that this was for a nuclear power plant, it really made my antenna go up. And then I noticed here, you see 779 is the solution to this equation is 779. You see here QQ 1717 nuclear systems, and the solution is 779, and that is the letter, the holy letter 977. 779. It's the same letter. It's backwards, but in Hebrew it's the same. In Hebrew, if you're reading from left to right, you're going to read 977. Do you see what I mean? So this is the video that you saw at the beginning of this video, where I explained that whole message about how we have to choose our mental attitude, and that's what we've been talking about. That's what we've been talking about for the past couple of videos so far, choosing your mental attitude. So for me, that was confirmation of that. It didn't really answer what is QQ, but it was a confirmation. So I'm still asking, what is QQ? And then I found that QQ is the granddaddy of China's social media scene. So let's take a look. So QQ pretty much is China's fast-changing technology space where new options pop up almost every day. The ability of platforms to maintain a loyal following can mean life or death. So it's the Chinese internet giant called Tencent, and it was launched in 1999. So you can pause this and read it if you like. but I don't want to spend too much time on that. I just want you to know that it is China's largest social network. So this is what was interesting to me, that this is the growth of QQ. And in 2016, it peaked at 8.99. So what's interesting here is that you have 16. You're going to see soon 16. And it peaked at 8.99. So only if we could read these holy letters. Oh, right. Yahushua Ruach HaKodesh, he taught us how to read these holy letters. Oh, well, that's going to be very helpful. Let's do that then. So here we go. We have the peak in 8.99. So let's start putting some of these pieces together. Right here, this is what I'm showing you. What is QQ? For the moment, we understand that it's the granddaddy of China's social media scene. So let's look at the information. We know that 8.99 is the peak in the year 2016. So what does 8.99 mean? Depth, deep water, met, fullness, immensity, an extreme degree, profundities, deep laid plans. So I want you to really remember deep water. You're in deep water. You're in over your head. A covering, as in clothing or treachery, apparel, clothes, garment, lap, rag, raiment, robe, very treacherously. So we talked about garments before in another video. Counteraction. Atonement, I complete, accomplish, form, fully, perfect, bring to maturity, finish. Cessation, boundary of blood drops. Okay, you are in deep water. So this can be literally or figuratively. So when I saw that 8.99, when it's at its peak, deep water, I understood immediately. Lights should be going off all over your head. I understood immediately this is talking about the water event. Now we have to be very careful because we're going through destruction. Destruction is beginning. This is going to happen. There's so many things that can cause a water event. We have war, that is going to be coming. You can have missiles that could cause something. You can have earthquakes that can cause something. We have Planet X that is coming, or Nubia, or whatever the heck that is, that could cause something. You have meteors or asteroids or whatever that can cause something. You have like umpteen million billion things that could cause any kind of destruction or upheaval involving water, right? We don't know the difference between a water event and the water event. The only way we're going to know the difference is after it happens. After the water event happens, we're going to be like, oh wow, that was it. But we won't know before. So for example, we had the tsunami in 2011 that hit Malaysia, and that was really, really pretty bad. I'm sure we all can agree that was not the water event. But what I'm saying is those kind of things can happen anytime. It can happen over and over many, many times, right? And so this year, 2018, and we know that stuff is heating up, and we're expecting earthquakes and volcanoes and all kinds of things. So there are many things that can happen this year, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the water event. Do you see what I mean? If I'm interpreting her vision correctly, what I understand is that the water event is not going to happen until we reach the peak of what I'm going to explain to you in a few minutes, what the peak is. But we have to reach the peak before we have the water event, okay? So you are in deep water. This can be literally or figuratively. You know that there are deep laid plans being made against you, but you aren't worried because you also know that you are covered and protected from any kind of treachery. As a counteraction, you don't destroy the idea, situation, person, or thing because you know that there is a blessing in it. Now, I told you that I'm going to try to be adding Bible verses, confirming Bible verses inside the letter line. And so, for example, this one is Isaiah 65:8. And so you can see here that counteraction, the gematria of that is 658. So this is the Bible verse that agrees with that. You complete, bring to maturity, and accomplish atonement as the boundary of blood drops come to an end. This means you will no longer have a loss of strength in some area of your life while Yahuwah shows the way and pulls the church out of the pit. That's pretty strong right there. So what it's saying is that this water event is going to happen, but it has to happen because it's a blessing inside of it. It has to happen. It's kind of like a baptism, I guess. And it is what's going to bring the blood drops to come to an end, meaning we will no longer be losing strength. And this is when Yahushua pulls the church out of the pit. So this has to happen. And this is 899. Now, when you get these letter lines, I can't take the time in this video to explain letter lines. If you haven't been following me and if you don't know what they are, please go back and get that information on my channel. This doesn't have to be a literal situation. It can be figurative as well. But this is giving us understanding to prophetically understanding of the message. All right, so we still don't know what QQ is, but we have an idea that QQ happens at the peak of this technology, some kind of technology, right? Here we're back to her vision where we have a blue envelope with QQ17. So I still wasn't sure what is QQ. So there was a sister on Facebook and she sent me this. So let's look at it. As you can see, anticorp syntaxin QQ17. And it's funny because this is 101 and we did a couple of videos on 101, right? So that's right here. So this is QQ17. So pretty much I understood right away from the sister, she told me on Facebook that this has to do with something called CRISPR. So then I looked up CRISPR. What is CRISPR? CRISPR, you spell it like this. CRISPR, as you can see here, it's in French, I'm sorry. Le knockout ou l'activation de gènes peuvent être évalués en utilisant syntaxin for antibody QQ17. So in other words, they're saying that this QQ17 is an antibody or some kind of product that CRISPR uses for gene editing. So what is CRISPR? Before I can talk more, watch this video. It's only like 4 minutes and it explains what CRISPR is.
The CRISPR-Cas9 system is a tool for cutting DNA at a specifically targeted location. The technique has already revolutionized gene editing, but scientists are always looking for new possibilities. So what else can CRISPR do? Since being discovered in a bacterial immune system, CRISPR-Cas9 has been adapted into a powerful tool for genomic research. There are two components to the system: a DNA cutting protein called Cas9 and an RNA molecule known as the guide RNA. Bound together, they form a complex that can identify and cut specific sections of DNA. First, Cas9 has to locate and bind to a common sequence in the genome called a PAM. Once the PAM is bound, the guide RNA unwinds part of the double helix. The RNA strand is designed to match and bind a particular sequence in the DNA. Once it's found the correct sequence, Cas9 can cut the DNA. Its two nuclease domains each make a nick, leading to a double-strand break. Although the cell will try to repair this break, the fixing process is error-prone and often inadvertently introduces mutations that disable the gene. This makes CRISPR a great tool for knocking out specific genes. But making double-strand breaks isn't all CRISPR can do. Some researchers are deactivating one or both of Cas9's cutting domains and fusing new enzymes onto the protein. Cas9 can then be used to transport those enzymes to a specific DNA sequence. In one example, Cas9 is fused to an enzyme, a deaminase, which mutates specific DNA bases, eventually replacing cytidine with thymidine. This kind of precise gene editing means you could turn a disease-causing mutation into a healthy version of the gene, or introduce a stop codon at a specific place. But it's not all about gene editing. Several labs have been working on ways to use CRISPR to promote gene transcription. They do this by deactivating Cas9 completely, so it can no longer cut DNA. Instead, transcriptional activators are added to the Cas9 by either fusing them directly or via a string of peptides. Alternatively, the activators can be recruited to the guide RNA instead. These activators recruit the cell's transcription machinery, bringing RNA polymerase and other factors to the target, and increasing transcription of that gene. The same principle applies to gene silencing. A CRAB domain fused to the Cas9 inactivates transcription by recruiting more factors that physically block the gene. A more outside-the-box idea for using CRISPR is to attach fluorescent proteins to the complex, so you can see where particular DNA sequences are found in the cell. This could be useful for things like visualizing the 3D architecture of the genome, or to paint an entire chromosome and follow its position in the nucleus. CRISPR has already changed the face of research, but these new ideas show that what's been achieved so far could just be the tip of the iceberg when it comes to CRISPR's potential. Whatever comes next, it seems the CRISPR revolution is far from over.
Okay, so now you guys know what CRISPR is. CRISPR is a gene editing tool. So that means you can choose your baby, designer babies. Do you want your baby to have blue eyes? Do you want it to have blonde hair? Gene editing, okay? So you see this bag is blue. So I was like, well, what is that about? You won't believe this. The company that has developed CRISPR is called Blue Herring. Guys, look at this right here, Blue Herring. That is the company that has developed the CRISPR gene editing right here. And so I looked up, what does blue herring mean? So according to North American tradition, the blue herring brings messages of self-determination and self-reliance. They represent an ability to progress and evolve. Blue herrings reflect the need for those with this totem to follow their own unique wisdom and path of self-determination. So this is very important. This means man becoming God, because man is saying that they don't need God anymore. They can control their own destiny, manifest destiny pretty much. And that's Antichrist. That's Antichrist. If you can't read, if you don't understand that, if you can't read between the lines, I can't imagine that anybody can't understand this, because it's as clear as day, self-determination. That is Antichrist. We depend on Yahushua HaMashiach. He is our hope. He is our light. He is our knowledge. He is the way. He is the way, the truth, and the life. Not me. I'm not the way. Not me. This is what this blue herring is saying, that you are the way. That is Antichrist right here. And that's what that is, blue herring. So that's why this envelope is blue. Are you guys with me? And this QQ is CRISPR. Do you guys understand? Let's keep going. So these people are playing God, the CRISPR people. We know many others, but we're just focusing on CRISPR right now. So in the model, Rowthorn uses a religiosity gene to present the various genetic factors that combine to genetically predispose a person towards religion, whether remaining religious from youth or converting to religion from a secular upbringing. So pretty much they have found what they call the religiosity gene. And they believe, there's a video about it, but I don't want to take the time to play it here. Do your own research. You'll find it. It's on YouTube. They believe that they can turn this on and turn it off like a switch. And now with CRISPR, they don't say this on the internet. I haven't found it yet, but believe me, if they can cut or nip a gene that they believe causes religion or religiosity, oh, it is literally nipped in the bud. Trust and believe. They are evil, that evil. Yes, exactly. That's what this is about. So I knew that you guys are really savvy people. So I knew that that wasn't enough information. That wasn't enough proof for you to believe me. So I said, okay, let's just look up 1717 in Strong's, because we know what we know that QQ is CRISPR. So what is 1717? All right. I told you that you have to look at it forwards and backwards because we read from left to right in Hebrew. So 1717 simply by itself, it means manifest, visible, comprehend. So the message that was hidden before is now being manifested and shown and comprehended. Okay, that's easy to believe. Now we are seeing CRISPR and the CRISPR agenda being manifested. The Holy Spirit is now making this information known to us. That is what 1717 means. All right. Now this is 1717 in Greek. Now this is 1717 in Hebrew. It means breast, teat, or nipple. Okay. Now 1717, 71, so that's 1717 backwards in Hebrew, because 71 doesn't exist in Greek. I don't believe so, because it's too high. The Greek numbers don't go that high. But in Hebrew, 71, it means perhaps nipping. So nipping is cutting, right? Destroying. So we have that they are cutting the nipple. That's right here. They're nipping. When they say nip it in the bud, it means cut, destroy. Nip it in the bud. So they are nipping the nipple. All right. So what does that mean? Anyone? Who knows? Who knows what it means? If you know what nipping the nipple means symbolically, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Let me see. Okay. Go ahead. Tell me, what does it mean? Okay. Well, what I found it to mean was QQ17, CRISPR nipping the nipple. Let's talk first of all about the symbolic meaning of it. So from its basic biological function, it means nurturance, which is, you're a woman, you have a baby, you're breastfeeding the baby, so you're feeding the baby. So that's what it technically means from a biological function. In dreams, to dream of nipples represents dependency. Okay, so if you or someone else is sucking on nipples, it symbolizes dependence on certain beliefs, people, or situations, feeling good that people are attracted to you or need you. So that made me think about spirituality in the way of your beliefs. So your dependence on your spiritual or religious beliefs. Yeah, we can stretch that. We can see that has that meaning. Absolutely right. You guys were correct. So there's a deeper meaning to it as well. And this one flipped me out. It flipped me out. It had me here yesterday just looking up and going, Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, this is amazing. I was floored. Okay? So what it means is that CRISPR will be cutting out El Shaddai. And El Shaddai, as I've showed you before in a previous video, is another name for the Most High Father. Okay? Ancient original Hebrew name, El Shaddai. So let's look at this. It was very simple. This stuff, this is why I don't want you to think, I know it seems very intellectual. I know it seems like I'm sitting up here and going, let me think about it. I honestly do not think about it. There is the least amount of thought put into this stuff. The only thing I do is take what I see, or take what I'm given, or take what I hear from the spiritual world, and then I just lay it out piece by piece. I just look it up piece by piece, and then when I have all the pieces looked up, and then I put the pieces together, and it just unfolds itself. I'm not doing this. This is not about intelligence. It's just about doing the work, guys. So all I did was Google nipple. I think I Googled nipple, God, nipple, the Bible, or something like that, because I just knew. I don't know, that part is the Holy Spirit, where the Holy Spirit gave me what I needed to Google. So that is divine intervention, absolutely. So I just Googled, something like God, nipple, and right here, boom. There is nothing shameful about breasts. So this is called, What is the Free Nipple Movement and How Should a Christian Respond to It? There is nothing shameful about breasts. The Hebrew root word shad, such as used in El Shaddai, means breast. So when I read that, I was like, wow, is that true? And so then I did a little more research, and in this book right here, which I haven't read, but it comes from this book, His Name is Wonderful, Studies of Some Names of God in the Old Testament. So right here it confirms that Shaddai is derived from the Hebrew shad, which describes a mother's breast, or teat, or nipple. So it's right here, and they give you all of the different Bible verses and so forth. So if that's true, saints, this CRISPR, this 1717 means that the QQ is CRISPR. So CRISPR will be at least attempting, or I guess CRISPR will be nipping God out of us. CRISPR QQ will be nipping God, El Shaddai, out of us through gene editing. That's what the message is. And right here, 1717, it says that this will be made visible and understood. Is that clear? Any questions? Any arguments here? It's hard to argue, but so I just want to give credit where credit is due. I did not figure this out by myself. We've been discussing it on Facebook in the group for a while. And even though I understood all this information, I couldn't put it together until I sat down and wrote it down on paper. So when you're trying to understand the messages God is giving you, you do have to sit down and document this on paper or something, because it's too much. You can't hold it inside of you. It's too much. You can't do it mentally in your head. You have to, write down each piece. And once you can see the pieces, then you can connect the dots, just like on the TV shows when they're trying to figure out a murder mystery or whatever, and they have all the pictures on the wall, and then they have all these strings, connecting each picture to each picture when they're trying to solve the mystery. It's really very much like that. So make sure that you are doing that work and not trying to hold it in your head, because it's very difficult, or it'll drive you nuts. Here, we were just going through, because it had QQ 1717, so we were saying the first thing that Sister Polly was saying, Q is the 17th letter, so 1717, as you had reviewed in that video, creates 44. Okay, so this is what she was talking about in an earlier video. I was talking about, you see here, 1717, and I was saying that when you put 17 here, and then it turns into 44. So again, everyone who's watching this video, this should be review for you. If you're watching this is the first video of mine that you've ever seen, you have to go back to part 1 and start from the beginning. So hopefully this is review for everyone, that you remember 1717 represents Yahushua on the cross and the ark, and that turns into a 44, right? So 1717 is 44, and we know that 44 is one of Yahushua HaMashiach's holy letters, representing him, physically representing him on the cross, on Calvary, okay? And we know that the cross and the ark, Noah's Ark and the Ark of the Covenant, we know that those are all symbolic of each other. It's the same story represented in 3 different ways, right? And we understood that because it's in an envelope, that it is a message. That was pretty clear. We understood that the blue is because the name of the company is Blue Herring. Now this came from Rebecca Castro, and it's funny because actually I figured it out on my own when Sister Rebecca, when you put this on Facebook, I read it and I had no idea what you were talking about. I thought you had gone mad. I was like, what does it mean? I didn't know. I forgot all about it. And then on my own, I went and did the research, and then I found it, and then I came back to the Facebook, and I was like, oh, that's what she was talking about. Yes, this is what we do with our days, guys. I teach English on the telephone part-time because I'm an artist, but I have to make money in between shows and recording. So I teach English too. And when I'm on the phone, in between phone calls, I'll go to Facebook and we'll decode Yahushua's messages in between my telephone calls. So if you are on Facebook, do join us, because we have a good time, huh, guys? We don't use Facebook as is intended. We really get to know each other, right? We don't let the agenda of the enemy get us. We're not falling for that trap. We really take time to know each other, right? So just to say, as Sister Rebecca, right on. And then Sister Polish, she was like, what? My goodness. This was such a confusing message to understand. And then it was Sister Angela Young who said, well, because I had said earlier that 71 and 71 meant nipping, because I looked it up on Strong's. And then that's when she understood about the CRISPR and what it does to DNA, like scissors. And so just, I just want to give credit to where credit is due, because this was it took a whole village to decode this message, okay, guys? But we have succeeded. It is a wrap. In short, the two messages, putting them together from this video and last week's video, is, and all I did to do this was just take all the information and put it into one sentence. Everything is connected, so just try to boil it down to its smallest component and put it in one sentence when you're doing this work on your own. So the message is, the countdown to Revelation 17, right here, 17, has begun. The judgment of the great whore, which is Revelation 17. Holy fire is burning through the church now, and we know that because last week I explained that message has already been fulfilled, has already started. Here, this message has already started. Holy fire is burning through the church now, meaning we're becoming pure. He's about to purify us. We're about to get our crowns, corona crowns, or at least be worthy of receiving our crowns. Yeah. The evil ones are preparing to cut El Shaddai out of us through gene editing. And that's what this message is right here, the blue herring right here. At the peak of CRISPR and related technology, which is also the QQ from China, yes, the water event will happen. And we know that because of the letter line 899. All right, so if my understanding is correct, we have deducted that this event, possibly talking about the water event, will happen at the peak, the projected peak of CRISPR and related technologies. So I quickly looked up when is the peak, that when they do technology forecasts. So when is the peak forecast for? And it happens to be 2027. So what you guys will see next week is that I'm going to do a Bible breakdown. It's called the Bible Countdown. And I'm taking Revelation 11, Revelation 12, Revelation 5, John 21, and Numbers 13, and I'm lining them up together to show how they all are confirming the same timeline. And in this timeline that I will show you next week, the water event, which is represented in Revelation 12:15, falls in 2027, or very close to that time. So just quickly, I'm not predicting, I'm not making a prediction or anything like that. I'm just showing you what I understand the message to say, and from what I can see, that I'm showing you, it seems to be saying that this event is going to happen at the peak of this technology, and the projected peak is 2027. All right, and like I said before, that doesn't mean that we can't have a water event or water events before that time. There definitely will have to be some kind of really bad event, which I assume has to do with water, before the Prince of Persia shows up, and he is to show up, or he is to be unmasked by 2022, 2023. So there has to be something that happens sooner. But this message that I'm talking about here, it is pointing out a later event for a later year, 2027. So you guys can do with that what you like. Maybe it's not a water event. Maybe there's more than one water events. I don't have the answers to that. But this is what it is saying. So when I add up all the numbers, you have 1 plus 7 plus 9 plus 1. So I add those up and that equals 18. Or we're in the year 2018. So that is a time marker. When is this starting? It is starting now, 2018. 2019, I'm saying 2019 because you have if you read from the left to the right, you have 19. So we're pretty much counting from 2019 to Revelation 2017. From 2019, the countdown is going to Revelation 17, but it has started in 2018. But remember that in the Hebrew year, 2019 has already started. You have the civil New Year and you have the religious New Year. So we have one of those New Years that happened in September, October, and we have the next New Year that happens in March, April. So that whole time period from September till April is a transition of year in Hebrew, right? So right now is 2018, but depending on if you're looking at the civil or religious New Year's, it's already 2019. Do you see what I mean? This is meaning at the least when it says 2019 here, at the least it's talking about the fall from September, October of 2018. So this countdown, and I believe that's true because I did a video not long ago saying that the harvest has begun, and that was within this time frame of September, October. So 2019 Hebrew year, counting down from 2019 Hebrew year to the arrival of Revelation 17. So why is Yahushua telling us this? My first guess is that it's important to know the plans of the enemy. That's what this video is about. Be ye wise as serpents, because the enemy, they're going to have many plans. But Yahushua, Ruach HaKodesh, they are teaching us and telling us in advance the plans of the enemy, because their plans will not prevail. Their plans will not prevail, but you have to know what they are. So he is warning us about these plans now so that you're able to protect yourself and spread the word and be all right, okay? And not deceived by that. And there you go. That is my interpretation of Sister Poli's two visions. Let's take this message as knowing that we are going through destruction. There will be events, destructive events that are happening, but we need to focus on protecting ourselves from the plans of the evil ones by knowing, so being wise as serpents, and also focusing on that process of being purified as the church through the holy fire. And just know in the back of your mind that these events, destructive events, will be happening, but we will be kept from them. These are the things that will be unifying and cleaning the church. Does that make sense? Right now the church is impure. This is the purification process that we're going through, and these events are the fire in which it will happen, and it will be the unity that is needed in order for us to do what we have to do tomorrow that we couldn't do yesterday. We have to go through this time. This is the countdown. Do you understand? It's an internal process as the church, individually and as a group, and it's also the exterior process that is happening in the world as we go through time. That's what this is. There's one point I forgot to mention. I just want to add it in this video. Two points. So the reason I called it Be Ye Wise as Serpents is because it comes from Matthew 10:16. So if you add 1 plus 7 plus 1 plus 7, that is 16. Okay? Q is the 8th letter of the alphabet. So Q and Q, that is also 16. So you have 16 and 16. And Sister Poli, she posted this vision on October 16. So October is 10 and then 16. This is October. Matthew 10:16 is 10:16. Be ye wise as serpents and understand the threat that is coming for us so that we will not be deceived and we will not be, the plans of the enemy will not prevail. So that is confirmation for that. I just wanted to point that out. I think it's really beautiful. And also the other thing is that the message says that this CRISPR is going to happen, this event is going to happen at the peak of this technology. And what I want you to understand is that's the same thing that happened in the days of Noah, right? Because it says in the Bible that in the last days it's going to be the same as in the days of Noah. And in the days of Noah, they had giants. Now the giants, they were a spiritual aberration from fallen angels sleeping with women. But this is a truth. This really happened. I don't have time to show you in this video, but I will show you in the next videos the proof that I've seen about this, the existence of these actual giants. So what I'm saying is this will actually, the manipulation, the gene manipulation, the manipulation that this technology will be doing to the human genome is like poison. It will not be allowed to continue further than the peak, because it is a poison to human beings, and God will not allow it. I don't know how much you guys know about Lemuria and these other ancient civilizations, Atlantis, also even the Tower of Babel. There's certain things that man is allowed to do, but he's only allowed to go so far, because after a certain point he will be destroying the creation of Yah. And this CRISPR is something that will not be allowed to go further than a certain point, because it will be contaminating the human genome. Do you understand? It will not be allowed. That is why at the peak of this technology, it will be destroyed. There will be coming some event, just like we had for the Tower of Babel, just like we had with Lemuria and Atlantis, and just like we had in the days of Noah with the giants. It will not be allowed to stand. Do you understand? I hope I explained well. It's not easy. And brothers and sisters, that is the end of the healing point, the healing section of this playlist. And so next week we are going to start the Bible countdown, and that is the word. So we're going to start comparing Revelation, the verses in Revelations, and put them together, and I'm going to show you how they're all saying the same thing. Like you have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they're telling the same story about Yahushua and the crucifixion. These chapters in Revelation are all telling the same story, but you have it from different dimensions. One is an earthly dimension, one is a heavenly dimension, one is a symbolic point of view, and they all are telling the same story. So I'm going to put those together back to back to show you the timeline that is in the Bible. All right, so that we know where we are in the timeline, so that we will be prepared and we won't be deceived, okay? And we won't be losing our time spinning our wheels, okay, saints? So I pray that this has been clear. I pray that it's been helpful. I pray that it is for the glory and honor of the Most High Father in Yahushua HaMashiach's holy name. I love you guys very much. Have a great day, and talk to you next week. Shalom, saints. Mwah.
Well, first of all, you know, Rick, what we're doing right now is, there was a comment that was made, this is 20 years off. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. It's here right now.
With recent advancements in genetic engineering, the reality of creating your ideal baby is closer than ever before, if you wish.
Britain's fertility regulator is to look into claims that a number of doctors have been secretly allowing couples to choose their baby's gender for a fee. The practice is illegal in the UK unless it's for medical reasons.
Prospective parents already use DNA testing to check for potential genetic abnormalities that could lead to serious conditions. While critics say the manipulation of DNA poses huge ethical and moral concerns, the method is garnering the support of lawmakers and medical experts.
While controversial technology could help prevent a baby of having certain genetic defects, critics are saying the implications could have a far worse effect on society.
In July, the UK Ethics Council calling the practice morally permissible as long as it's in the best interest of the child. But as technology advances, others worry that we may be able to also learn about characteristics that have less bearing on the future health of the child and more on the physical and intellectual traits.
You also get into issues like, is it ethical to want a child with blonde hair, blue eyes? maybe not. Is it ethical to want a girl over a boy? Is it ethical to want somebody taller versus somebody shorter? You know, and so, but the list can keep going on and on and on. So where do you draw that line?
The late Stephen Hawking believed that the advances in genetic science could lead to an elite class of physically and intellectually powerful people if rich people chose to edit their DNA and manipulate their children's makeup.
Well, newspaper reports claim that some couples have paid up to £14,000 for the illegal procedure. Several senior doctors allegedly set up appointments at private clinics in the UK before arranging to complete the medical treatment abroad in countries like Cyprus, Greece and the UAE. Well, we got the thoughts of Josephine Quintavalli, who's the founder of Comment on reproductive ethics, and political activist first Kate Smurthwaite.
There are medical conditions which either only affect boys or only affect girls, and it's actually fairly standard practice in lots of places around the world for couples who have a family history of those kind of conditions to be given IVF and given the opportunity to select the gender of child that is less likely to suffer from those conditions. I think we would all take steps to try and make sure that our children were less likely to have problems later in life in all sorts of different ways. The idea of just choosing the sex of your child based on a whim, I think to me it sounds horrifying, but what we should be asking really is the question, what kind of culture are we living in if people have a really strong feeling? If people really, really only want a boy, should we be forcing those people to have a girl? Do we want a girl raised in a family that really only wants a boy and in a culture that evidently values boys much more strongly?